common area is we run Pro Tools in every studio. 2 of our studios run Pro Tools HD, 2 of them are Pro Tools native. There's also different desks in between every studio, so we run 2 studios with digital desks. This being one of them, the Yamaha O2R 96. Studio A runs Sony DMX R100, quite an old but very nice digital desk that a lot of students seem to get on with really well. Studio C runs an analog Toft ATB32 desk, and that's also really nice, I think, because it illustrates commonalities and differences between the analog and digital environment, and an opportunity for students to get hands-on in both and see how knowledge acquired in one transfer across the other. Then each studio comes equipped with some time-based outboard effects, additive effects. So I don't know if you can see them in here, but we do have the TC Electronics and the Yamaha SPX 990 unit. These are common for all studios, so you'll find them in every single one of them. Then, a little bit depending on which studio you're in, you'll find the complement of dynamics processing as well, compressors, distressors, gates. 2 of the studios are equipped for 5.1, and the other studios are stereos. And generally, again, as you might be able to see in this studio, there is a selection available, so you can A/B between 2 different sets of speakers. We have 2 that are capable of 5.1. Currently, the studio we are in have a purpose-built performance area which carries some extra padding, and the thought behind that is that we can have drums in there, we can have loud drummers in there without it disturbing more delicate recording in adjacent performance areas, as all performance areas sit in the middle of the studio complex with the control room surrounding it. Depending on partly what desk is in each studio, they will have, albeit minimal differences in every single piece of kit, will have its own characteristic, however difficult it might be to spot that in a critical listening situation. They also are built ever so slightly differently with room dimensions, obviously. So this will impact standing waves. So in the design of the rooms are sort of non-square to at best prevent standing waves from occurring. However, because we are situated in a building that is square, there will be places where we will have to have 90-degree corners. There are places where walls will be in parallel with each other, and there is an opportunity for standing waves to manifest themselves, right? To conclude about that, I think project that you're working on will transfer really well across the studios, and as a rule of thumb, I'd be hard pushed to say that you will find any studio that has merit over the other, unless you do favor possibly some of the installations in a studio. I like all of the studios. I think they have individual ups and downs. Being educational facilities, there are certain things that would possibly not be in place in a real-world studio, where a person might grow more comfortable and cater everything to their needs. One issue I think that we have in the studios, for instance, is the slightly off-center doves. This is not ideal if you are working in the box. There is a moment of logistics for you to actually move your chair from your comfortable editing position, or perhaps you're mixing in the box, to your focal point where you're mixing in stereo. So there is always that little danger of you losing that reference at that point. What were you doing? Am I sure I'm A/B-ing this correctly and stuff like that? But if I were to prefer anything, I do enjoy the Genelec monitoring system in Studio A. Out of all the speakers we have available, for some reason, if it's my patriotic feel for Genelec being a Finnish brand, I really like those 1030s, yes. But we have many other nice speakers as well. The Dynaudio BM15As we have in place here. We got some PMC 226s in Studio C. We got the Blue Sky 5.1 in Studio D. So there is a nice host of equipment available. We do our utmost to keep these facilities available and online throughout semesters as much as possible, and obviously on that grounds we can't really be having drinks or food that might contaminate equipment, cause them to malfunction if being spilled and so on. So something that I do enjoy is student respect, that we have no drinks and no food in these studios. Also, I'm a fan of timekeeping, so if you book a slot for 2 o'clock, I quite enjoy the student to come and collect the keys at 2 o'clock. I do value punctuality because it just keeps things flowing smoothly. If you show up on time and the person who was in the studio previous to you vacate on time, we have a really smooth transition with a minimum of downtime where people are saving work and getting ready, and we don't have too many people waiting, and this is what I like.
At the beginning I used to like Studio C because Studio C is like kind of an analog, everything is analogic, like the desk, stuff like that, so you can understand better how to pass the signal, how to route the signal using this desk. All the studios are interconnected between them, so you can be recording on Studio A, but you can be playing music on Live Room C, and you can still listen, have communication between us, so this is pretty good. I have learned that you have to be very respectful with the equipment and also with the people working there, because sometimes you work as a team, sometimes you work by your own, but it's good to know how to respect the people, how to work with them. These things, they are really expensive, they cost a lot of money, and we have to value this, you know, like you are using microphones that they cost nearly £1,000, so you have to treat them with care, and also you need knowledge to use these microphones in the best way that you can. Well, if you want to book the studios, well, first thing, during the first year you need to get your student ID card, and you get this card when you have some knowledge about the studios, and then one of the persons working there, as Henrik or Paul, they can give you the recording studio ID. So then with this card you are like on the system, and you can book the studios whenever you want from your Google Calendar, and you can see which of them they are available or which are not. You just book them, you just go there to the studios, give your ID, and they give you the key of the studio, and you can go there and enjoy the time. For the new students coming to the studios, I will say that first is very important the theory. Before go to the studios, it's good that you have been reading, you have been studying about what you've been taught on the theory lectures. So when you go there, you can understand much better how the signal goes from the microphone to the Pro Tools, and coming back from Pro Tools to the speakers. You know, this is the most important thing, to understand how it works, how the layers work on the desk, because you have different layers, one from the inputs, the other is from Pro Tools inputs and returns. So you need like a very logical path in your head to get there, and that's very important. But I don't think it's difficult. Once you got it, you just need to work on it, and you will be okay, and you will have good time.